Welcome to another episode of DIOTALK. I'm Dio. Let's talk. My guest of the evening. He's amazing. He's inspiring. He's breathtaking, and yet so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to Bishop Foreman. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, listen, I'm amazing. All the better now because I'm here with you and with your audience. Excited to be here. Really am.
It's an honor having you. Before we jumped online, I was watching your sermon on Instagram Live, which was amazing. I don't know how you do it, but it's like you spoke to me. Having a
Oh,
long week, long month, hectic, and I just while I'm preparing here, I put it live, and your words and your scriptures and your Bible verses hit to heart. Very inspiring stuff.
yeah. Wow. Thank you so much for that. As I was sharing with you right before we went live or began the show. Listen, it's that's life for me. It gives me life to give life, and so it is inspiring to me. And I just have to say, you got the lions and the crown. I have got well, one lion on my ring. I got a
There you
lion on my
go.
ring. I got a lion on my shoulder. I got a lion back here.
There you go.
Oh, listen, man, I love that. And the crown, there's literally a crown right there. So I love the imagery of that. Like, I think
Thank you. Thank
sometimes we
you.
don't recognize how powerful, whatever you behold, you become. And so, something as simple as a logo, something as simple as stuff that we keep around us, it literally becomes the thing you focus on and it's what you become. So, but listen, I'm excited to be here with you, excited about the show, excited about everybody watching, listening, however they're connecting.
And it's I don't even know where to begin. I'm so flabbergasted. Like I said, I was watching your sermon. It spoke to me. Right now it's giving me the chills.
Wow.
I guess what inspired you to do what you do. Like what was
Man.
your beginning like? What was your transformation? Please share your journey with
Yes.
us.
Yes. It's so the joke is I came out of my mom's womb with a Bible and a briefcase. That's the joke. Because I just had a spiritual affinity that nobody else in my family did. I'm the first pastor, first bishop. All that is just a pastor to pastors. I'm the first PhD. I'm the first to achieve certain levels from a financial level. I'm the first, lots of things. And I don't say that in an arrogant or braggadocious way. I say that to simply say, that is, I was always different. And I think that's really one of the essence, one of the keystones, one of the things I really believe in is the power of being a generational curse breaker. My stepfather was like, for anybody that's ever seen the movie about Ike and Tina Turner, What's Love Got to Do with It?
Mm.
Abuser, womanizer. That's how my stepfather was. So growing up, that's what I lived in. That's what I saw. But I saw my mom be persistent and fight her way through that and get out of that. And it looked like a great love story. I saw her reconnect, and after they divorced, she reconnected with my biological father, and it looked like that was going to be great. And that wasn't. He that didn't go so well. And
Mhm.
I tell the joke sometimes to people. There was an incident that had happened, and I think I was, I don't know, 15, 16, something like that. And I was doing what I did was, defending my brothers or sisters or what have you from, whatever. And in that, it wasn't a fight. I remember he's a big muscular guy. It was a boom. And,
Mm.
and I share these stories simply to say that for everybody's got a journey. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got something. Everybody's going to have something that tries to misshape you. And this is why I believe that one of the things God does is reshape us.
Mm.
And, the images of manhood that I saw coming up, I just, I was born in Denver, raised in Memphis, and then went back and spent a lot of time in Denver. Now we're in Atlanta. We just moved our headquarters to Atlanta. And the images of manhood that I saw were not necessarily great images of manhood. And so the man I am is a man I really had to build. I took pieces of different men and different things that I saw. And like, I like that. I like that. I like that. And really constructed the man that I am. And I even learned some things from, sure, my stepfather was an abuser and a womanizer and all those things, but I still was able to learn some things. The man was very charismatic. He could sell you the blue shirt you have on right now
Mhm.
to you, and you think you got a good deal on the shirt.
Mhm.
like it's your shirt. That man would sell that shirt. He'd be like, I got a great deal on this shirt. Like, he was very persuasive, very smart. And I joked with them years later, as an adult. I joked with them. I said, "You're so smart, you're dumb." I said, "Because there's no reason you should not be an extremely successful person." He just had some things he had to, navigate through and work through. And I remember the last time I had spoke, I was preaching at a church in Memphis, and he was there because he had lived there, he moved there and lived there. And I said to him, "If you don't turn your life around," I said, "this is going to be the last time I see you." And it was the last time that I saw him. And he would pass away not that long thereafter. But I say all of that to say, part of that I think drove me. For a lot of people, what they go through, you really have a choice. What am I going to do with this? Because I can't control that. What am I going to do with it? Like I said, out of my mom, I saw persistence and resilience and a fighter, and how to keep it moving. Like, could you imagine? I sometimes still tell her this when we talk about it today, but like, I just can't imagine all of what was happening in her internally. Trying to keep family together and keep kids moving forward, and you're working, and then you're dealing with this whole. You never know what you're gonna get. Just depends on what drug he's on. Just
Hmm.
depends on what mood he's in. And to watch her navigate through that was amazing. And thankfully, I just had that affinity for when I came out of the womb, and God turned all of that, and it really motivated me to be different. I was like, I don't want to be that, and I don't want to be that, and I don't want to do that, and it motivated me, and that's what got me going. So that was some of my childhood, and at 12, that's when I started my first business. I was 12 years old, and that's also when I got into ministry. I started as a drummer. And the
Wow.
only reason I got the drum set was that a friend of mine, we were very competitive. He was a musician, he could play and all that. I tried the saxophone, didn't like it. Tried the trombone, didn't like it. Tried the trumpet. I was like, just three things. Like, how are you supposed to do all these notes? Like, it's more notes than it is, ways to get the notes. I didn't like the fingering on the trombone. I was like, this is not it. My friend, he got a drum set, and I went home and said, I want a drum set. And he said, well, you can't even play drums. I said, well, I'll figure it out. And I stuck with the drums. And I would have to practice before my mom got home. And so I had like a sliver of time, and I would watch the guy at church playing. His name was Stan. I have tried to find this guy to just tell him thank you. Because him just being him, he doesn't even, all of what I'm doing is in part because I just watched him play the drums. You never know how your life will impact somebody else's life. Just you doing you. You never know who's watching. And I watched him. And Stan was a left-handed drummer. So, right-handed drummers typically play like this. They cross over. Left-handed drummers typically play like this. Well, I didn't know the difference. I just mimicked Stan. So Stan would play like this, and he had this little shoulder groove where he moved his shoulder like that. And so I just learned how to play like Stan. I was like, this is how you play the drums. There was no YouTube when I was, what was that, 16, something like that. There's no YouTube. There was no, there was none of that. And so I just started playing, and that would matriculate into keyboards and choirs and music and writing songs, and eventually being inducted into the Colorado Gospel Music Hall of Fame, which was a great honor. I didn't even know we had one. There's a plaque right there. I didn't
Wow.
even know we had one until I was inducted into it. That same group years later, in 2020, would make me pastor of the year when I was a senior pastor, or as a senior pastor. And so, you fast forward on that. 19, I built Denver's largest black-owned real estate finance brokerage, so mortgage company. And simultaneously, I was in ministry at the same time. They used to call me Denver's Kirk Franklin. Um, and the thing is, I would joke back with people and be like, "But I'm taller than Kirk." I was like, I'm Kirk is like 5'5". I'm like 5'9". Like, give me some credit, right?" And so we did that, which is awesome. And I watched that industry collapse. It wasn't just my company; it was the entirety of that industry collapse, like over the weekend. And we just opened a brand new office and had to, scale all that back, shut all that down. And then that would be the time, to your question, how did I get into what I'm doing? Where I was like, okay, what am I gonna do now? And this would be the time God would have me to start a church. And I'm like, start a church. First of all, I'm gonna do that. Number one, I was very happy being number two to somebody else when it came to that. And I was definitely a leader, take charge person, but I liked getting things done. I liked execution, ideas and ideation. Sometimes it's rare you find both of those things in the same person, like execution and evolution. Those two things together in the same person are sometimes, a challenge. And so I like getting things done. And so I was happy with that. I didn't want to, yeah, I was happy with that. But basically, God pushed me to doing that. And that was May of 2006. Let me tell you how against it I was. I was so against it. I literally, like, there would be some, we started on Saturday nights. Instead of a message, like, like what you just saw me do prayer, but like instead of a message, I would like play a Medea movie. Now that's crazy, right? Like, who
Yeah.
plays a Medea movie? Like, I was like, okay, guys, tonight's message is Tyler Perry. Like, watch Medea. And I was so against the concept. But we started, and you fast forward 19 years later, over 12,000 people, close to 13,000 now, have made professions of faith. Harvest is a hybrid church and buildings and online. So we, again, as I mentioned, we just moved our headquarters here to Atlanta. It's just been an amazing journey so far, and we'll launch the location here over the next few months. And but it's just been an amazing journey so far to see lives change and transform, and it's just been amazing. And I really feel like I'm just getting started, to be honest with you. I don't feel like I've hit my stride. I certainly don't feel like I've hit my zenith or my apex. There's something in me that just like the Energizer Bunny. I just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I think like you said, you just moved to Atlanta, so it's the beginning of something beautiful, you know,
yeah.
where somewhere ends, there's another place that begins, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you know what I love about it too, just to the like the imagery of the animals and what have you. The animal of Atlanta on the shield of the city of Atlanta, resurgence, is actually the phoenix. What's crazy about the phoenix is the phoenix doesn't exist. It's not a real bird. There's no bird that's a
Yeah.
phoenix. It's a mythological creature. But the myth is this, is that the phoenix would set itself on fire when it felt like it reached the end of one level. That's crazy because it says, I'm not going to wait for things around me to make me change. I'm going to initiate my change. And I think there's a lot of
Mm.
people that in life, there's certain things that have been set up so that you would take the initiative to initiate your change rather than letting things force you and make you change. And so the Phoenix doesn't wait for things to change. Phoenix is like, you know what? It's time to evolve. It's time to level up. It's time for something greater. Sets itself on fire, re-emerges or resurges, renewed, brand new, the whole thing. And so I really think, what we do in Atlanta is going to make what we've done in Denver. I think it's going to blow it out of the water.
To that, I meant to that.
Yeah.
You mentioned something tonight's sermon that really captured me. Like you said something about like don't like pray and don't. And I apologize if I'm botching this, right?
No, that's right. You
Um,
good.
uh, don't be afraid to ask, but also don't be afraid of the answer, right?
Yeah.
Which is like that stuck with me, right? Because for me, like very much like you in a difficult upbringing, right? Like for me, it was like I had to deal with things on my own, so it was difficult to ask for help.
Yeah.
Minus I grew up with my grandparents. They're already at an older age. More time behind them than in front of them. So it was just me, and I guess for the past couple of years, I've been struggling with like, trying to develop a relationship with God and like how to ask, how to pray.
Yeah.
And, sometimes because I feel like you're so astray from him
Yeah.
that, out of nowhere you go to ask that my it's like, a parent who hasn't seen you in quite some time. They gotta
Yeah.
give you some attitude, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Man, that's powerful. You know what I love about that is so I've been on this. I live my life as a student. I sit with from President Biden and his administration to local level leaders to celebrities, corporate people, whatever. And the only reason I mention that is for this. I always live my life like a student. I don't care who I
Mm,
sit with, what I do, what I accomplish. I live my life like a student. And one of the lessons over the last several months, in fact, that I really began to unpack. And sometimes God will use he'll use what seems like a negative thing in order to really bring the most substantive change in your life. Like think about it. David from the Bible. It's Goliath that becomes the catalyst to get David in the palace. After he defeats Goliath, like David's stature changes. It was this big obstacle that on the other side of it was something that was amazing. And so something earlier this year affected me in a way, and I was like, "Why is this affecting me?" I was like, "I'm bothered." It was the simplest thing. It's like, "Why am I bothered by this? Like, why am I upset about this?" And so I was like, "Okay, God, there's something I'm supposed to learn. Like, what is the lesson? Like, let's get the lesson and let's move on. Because I do not have time to be, all up in my feelings and mad and
mm,
frustrated about something. Like, what's the deal?" And it took me on this whole path. And one of the things you just said is one of the things I had to realize because sometimes when you've gone through some challenges in childhood, upbringing, whatever, which everybody does to some extent, it's just different. But one of the things that happens is for me, and it sounds like it maybe happened for you too, is it's called parentification, where you really, as a child, you don't experience your childhood because you're so quickly having to develop adult emotions, adult
mm,
responses, adult handling things. And one of the things that happens when you become parentified is that you don't ask for help because you're so used to having to do everything on your own that it's like, I got it. Well, the problem is that then you got all this weight that you carry it, and you're like, well, ain't nobody helping me. Well, you never asked anybody to help you. But part of that is because it's how you were shaped. And one of the other things that happens is you don't really ever experience childhood because you're always the protector of people. So because you're like in my case, I felt like I had to protect my mom. Now she never asked me to do that. But as a result, I didn't do a lot of sleepovers. I didn't do a lot of kid stuff that kids just do because in my mind, if I'm gone too long, what is he going to do to her?
mm,
Right. So this was the processing happening in my head. So like I would think twice about spending the night somewhere. If I'm hanging out with a friend, kid stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna go ahead and go home. So I didn't really experience childhood. And then when it came to my brother and sister, was very protective of them. And so as a kid, I started thinking like a dad. And while there's some good that comes out of that, because there's responsibility and things like that, the flip side of that is you don't know how to be a kid. So then when you look at God, who is a father, amongst other things, that's a foreign relationship. That's foreign
mm,
because I'm used to being that. I'm used to being who people come through. So now you want me to come to you like this is it's a foreign relationship. It's a totally different thing. And I really had to step back. And one of my favorite sayings these days. Now I don't have any natural kids, but I've raised enough grown people to where I'm like, I want reverse child support. Like I want reverse child support. But one of those freeing sayings to me is, I ain't got no kids. And all it does is it detethers me and detaches me from the thinking that says that everybody and everything is my responsibility because they're not.
mm,
And that freedom was a freedom I didn't even know I needed.
mm,
Right. My whole life, I have made decisions predicated thinking like a father. And again, while there's some good that comes from that, the reality is that I would set myself on fire to keep other people warm. And then you get mad like what's wrong, well you're doing it. And God said something to me one day that was the craziest thing. He said, what you're doing isn't the challenge, it's the way you're doing it.
mm,
And who told you you had to do it that way? Well, this is the only way I know. And that thing created this whole cascading series of lessons for me. Like literally, this is all over this year. I just moved to Atlanta at the top of the year, and so everything's new. And so that's one of those lessons. And it sounds to me like for you, that may have been some of it that you just to you what you said. You just got so used to just doing it depending on you. It's a very difficult thing even from a trust issue, like how do I let somebody in?
Mm,
How do I take my burdens to somebody? How do I even talk about this? Because I'm just used to internalizing it. Because who do you run to when you're the one everybody runs to?
right,
Who helps the helper? You know what I mean?
right,
Who
right.
protects the protector? Who defends the defender? And I think that is one of the greatest, one of the greatest lessons of self-discovery. And that's what I love about God, and why I'm so passionate about unchurched to de-churched people coming to the Lord. Unchurched people never given to church. De-churched went whatever, disconnected, is because that's one of those things that you'll hear people just talk. Oh, you just pray about it. Oh, just but okay, but how though?
Mm.
Like I'm a how-to guy. Give me some bullet points. Give me some steps. Give me just so you just gotta feel it. Yeah, that's not gonna work for me. That's not gonna work for me. You're gonna have to give me something pragmatic, something tangible, so that I understand it. Because there's certain things, honestly, I would not even do to enjoy life. Because in my mind, I was making the decision like I was still the little kid that couldn't go spend the night.
Mm,
I could go get myself something, but like, no, I don't want to get that because I would have all these reasons of why I deprived myself of life,
mm.
and I didn't have to. That thing set me free. So I'm like at a whole nother level of freedom, and it's layers because it's a freedom I did not need it.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's amazing. That's amazing. God bless.
yeah.
Now, before we started talk recording, you mentioned that you moved your programming to now social media apps, right? How has it been the adjustment? Because when you're speaking with people, sometimes you feel their energy and it
Yeah.
feeds you and it gets you going. It's
Yeah.
a different a different thing when you're live and people are just texting away emojis, words. Like, how is it for you? Because you're
Oh,
somebody like you're very like I feel like whether it doesn't matter where you are, you're there and you bring that energy.
yeah, you know what? And that's the truth. So growing up, I was really, really shy. But you put me on a stage, I'd come alive. Like when I was in like second grade, second grade. I was in second grade. I was a spokesman in Memphis. City school was for Smuckers, the grape and jelly and all that.
Hmm.
And so they would put me, they started this new thing called a homework hotline, which, in second grade, that was like the newest technology of the day. Like parent could call and get their kids' homework off a hotline. Like this is cutting edge at the time. And so they would put me in the paper, and I noticed when I got in front of people, I came alive. It was like a fish in water. You didn't have to tell me what to do. I knew what to do. You didn't have to train me on what to do. I knew what to do. And so that is just one of those things that's always been innate for me. You fast forward, I did a lot of traditional TV. We were the first church in Denver to go on, secular networks. So we went on
Wow.
ABC and NBC and Fox. We did every network but CBS. UPN back when that's what it was, and My Network TV and Ion, which was like PAX. We were on like 6, 7 times a week. And we were the first to do that, church in that area to do that. And so that was very natural for me. I would host TV show. That was very natural for me. You didn't have to tell me what to do. The energy was there, and you put it in a church world. When I would be absent, I would actually pre-record a message to an empty auditorium when I wasn't going to be there, so that people, a guest is great, but what we discovered is people were like, yeah, I don't really want to hear a guest. Like, I want to hear my guy. Like, like,
Yeah.
we don't want to hear the other, the other play. Like, and I never took offense to it because I understood it, so it wasn't like, well, no, this I never took offense. So I would pre-record and do it like that. And that actually taught me that before the pandemic. So when the pandemic hit and all we could have was a production team, a few singers, and a band, and that's it in the building. Oh, I was like official. Again, I was official. I knew what to do. So I would still walk that stage like there
Mm.
was tons of people in there. And the craziest thing, people would say, how does he know what we're doing? Because I'd be like, I don't like the way you responded. Just I have fun with my audience and those
Yeah.
listeners. I don't like the way you responded. People are like, how does he know that? And I'd be like, and people would be like, he's in tune with what we're doing and he's not here. I remember one time I knew that was a thing my mom, who's again, she's like my greatest fan. Like every message she'll send a thing. That was awesome. You did great. She's amazing. And she was like, it is so funny because you literally like you'll say touch your name or something or whatever. And I don't like I'll say something and she'll like, it's literally exactly what's happening in the auditorium when you're not here. So I taught myself that skill. You move forward to hybrid now where a lot of what we do is on camera and in buildings, so both. It has just been a very natural thing for me. Normally I've got one, two, three, four screens that I'm looking at one time. In this, I'm having a whole studio built out, but here there's four different screens. I'm engaging with the comments. I'm reading what people are saying. Most people watch on demand, but when we're live, it's just like a second nature thing for me, to be honest with you. I can't it's just I do it. And I get, and while a lot of people get tired because people will say, how do you do that? And it brings me energy. Like I
Yeah.
just finished an hour and I'm on with you and I
Yeah.
got the same boom. I'm there.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
gives me life.
Yeah. I like it because you're very like very personal. Like it's like you said, like even though you're there, it's like we're with you right there. You're very
Yeah.
personal.
Yeah.
And I've watched plenty others try to mimic what you're doing and it's
Mm,
not the same
mm.
because like you're here reading the scripture, but you're like right here, right here,
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I like it's contagious. It's a lot of positivity, a lot of
Love that.
enlightenment, which man, you, you're doing amazing things.
Love that. Thank you for sharing that with me. I really, really appreciate that. Like I said, that's what drives me. Seeing people's lives change while also experiencing my own life change at the
Hmm.
same time.
Hmm.
Like I think any good chef eats what they cook. And I'm
Mm.
leery of any chef that can't eat what they cook. Like, why aren't you eating it? Like,
Yeah.
why did you? And I look at the same way when it comes to, the messages and teaching and, there's spiritual stuff, there's natural stuff, there's fitness stuff. Like, I did this whole thing, Fit Harvest. I lost 95 pounds in about 4 months
Wow.
in 2013. And I tried everything: slim slow, slim fast, eat all the protein you want, eat all the carbs you want. Like, I tried everything. Nothing worked. So I was like 250 something. And so I'm 5'9", and I carried it like a linebacker. So I carried it relatively well. But I remember, like, after Sunday, I do the two Sunday services. I was wiped out. I had to go home and was
Mm.
I was wiped out. And I said, I don't want to live. I don't want to have a life that I can't enjoy living because I'm tired or because I'm not healthy. And I literally prayed for a strategy. Like I said, God, I need a strategy. Believe it or not, that Sunday, we were on a 21-day fast, which is basically like fruits and vegetables. The last day of that fast. And so I'm like, I need a strategy. So I get home and we had a Sunday night service that night. I get home, some documentary pops up on Netflix. I couldn't tell you the name of it to this day. I haven't been able to find it. I've looked at all of them on there, and none of them are the documentary. It triggered all these changes in my life that night. Now I'll keep it 100 with you. I had one more Papado platter that night. I ain't gonna lie. I had one
Yeah.
more Papado platter that night, and then I was like, okay, tomorrow cold turkey, and I did. Stopped eating fast food, a bunch of other life changes that I made. And in the first 3 months, I lost like 75 pounds. I didn't even know it because we were super casual during the summer. And the only way I found out, I went to speak for a group of leaders up in the mountains in Colorado, and it was a formal event. So I get up there and I got to put a suit on. So I go to put my suit on. It's the sleeves all hanging, jackets all hanging, pants are sagging. I'm like, so I look at one of my assistants. I'm like, whose suit is this? I'm like, you had one job to just put the suit in the bag. Like, what is this? So I was frustrated at him. I was bad. He said, sir, that is your suit. I said, man, this is not my suit. I said, you know what? You got one that looked just like it. I bet you this is yours. Because it fit that. And he's a tall guy,
Mhm.
super tall. I said, I bet you this is yours. He said, so that's your suit. I was like, well, this is crazy. I don't know what's going on. Something's wrong. So we finished the event. We're heading back down to Denver. I said, let me buy a scale. I get a scale. I'm like, what? what does it say? 75 pounds going. I was like, whoa. So you fast forward, lost about another 20. To date, it's about 120, 125 because I didn't get into the gym and stuff until later. But I bring that up to just say, and one of the things about me is that because I live as a student, when I learn better, I like to do better. And even with this whole digital thing, I was like, okay, this is working and it's reaching people, and I like it. And we're reaching people I would never be able to reach in a building. You can't fit, our database is like 15,000 people. You can't fit all those people in a building. And to me, it's like, okay, well, let's just do it. And let's to me, it's important what you said, like lives matter. And in social media
Mhm.
world, everything is clicks and likes and all that. And I get that. But like your life matters. Like you matter to God. And to me, that's my energy in person. That's my energy. I strive to give that same type of energy
Yeah.
online because as a student, I'm like, okay, if you're just talking to a bunch of different people, like, okay. But if you can do your best to really engage with people and let them know like you matter. And what's the old saying? Like people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's working. A lot of people, and especially in this social media industry, like it's all about engagement.
Yeah.
They tell you to comment and like and share, like, but we're missing that component of connection. I think you do that brilliantly. Like
Oh,
I
thank you.
there was 5 or 6 people I forwarded your live to.
Oh,
My I had it in the background. My wife was listening to, and it's maybe it's because it's like fine wine. You have developed your skill set, but
mm,
it's very what is the word I'm looking for? It helps connect.
yeah.
It spreads and positive, and
Yeah.
it's very I can't over express how good it was.
Wow. Thank
uh
you. Thank you.
because I'm a journalist, and I'm constantly trying to you go through this rabbit hole and trying to research people, whatever,
Yeah.
and not everyone matches who they are. They have
Mhm.
and then you also on a daily basis you do your word, your wisdom words, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's connecting, it's
Yeah.
connecting, it's connecting. And I think we
Mhm.
need more of that. I think we need
Mhm.
more of that, especially in, the day we're living in, the negativity and, all the nonsense people
Yeah.
like to share. I
Yeah.
feel like we need more of that.
Yeah, thank you for that. That listen, you made my evening, to be honest with you, sharing that because not because it's just great to hear. It's just great to hear, and it encourages me. I literally on my Evernote, I have written in there. Well, I moved it out of Evernote now, but on one of my notes, like, if it's going to change lives, it's a green light for me. And so, thank you for that, because I'll tell you, like, for years with social, again, that was another one of those things, like a student. That's why I brought up the
Yeah.
the fitness thing and all that. Like, I live like a student, so it's not like I woke up in the burning bush. Thou shall get on TikTok tomorrow. Like, no,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
it's a student. So a buddy of mine who actually lives in Atlanta, he was crushing on social and on Instagram at the time. I was just like sitting around 45,000 and it was just sitting there for a while. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I was like, I can posted this, posted that. I was like, I just don't care. So I'd post when I thought about it. I was like, I don't care, whatever. And then here was my thing. I was like, well, I'm having a real life. This is online life. I got a real life. That was kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, it's like, I was like, okay, well, I asked him, I said, so what do you do? And I was like, who does this for you? And he's like, what are you talking about? I just turn the camera towards me and then just talk. I said, no, 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 yeah, but who pushes it behind the scenes? I said, like, are you buying it or something? Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? And he's like, and then he's an Android guy. Are you an Android or Apple guy?
I'm an Android guy.
Oh man, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. No, I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you. So I got like one, as I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 phones in there. But he was an Android guy too. And so I was like, you take that Android phone. And I had to throw a little shade at him. You
Yeah.
take that Android phone and you record these videos and do all of that and he was like, that's it. And he said something powerful to me. He says he used to be angry with God. He's like, God, why is nobody inviting me to speak? Why am I not reaching more people? And he said, and why is nobody giving me a stage? And he said the response was, I've given you a stage. It's in your hand.
Mm.
So for that day, he just started talking and he was crushing it and killing it. And so I was like, are you serious? Like, that's the whole thing? And so I was like, that's the whole. I was like, he said, that's
Yeah, yeah.
it. Okay. And he would, and I would give him a hard time because he would get on camera. I was like, and half the time you're not even looking. I said, half the time you're like looking around, you're doing other things, and he would do his videos, but he's crushing it. He's still doing an amazing job. And he said that was it. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this. And so that November, it was in November, I remember I was getting on a flight to Chicago. And you know how you get into the area where there the
Mm,
gate. I've
yeah.
been standing in the area. I'm like, let me do a quick video. I said, well, let's see if this works. And I had a little doubt. I'll be very honest. I was like, I don't know. We'll see. Let me just see if this works. And so plane's getting ready to board. So when you're in that area, you kind of talk kind of a little lower because
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm over there. I do the video real fast. I was flying Southwest, and anybody that flies Southwest, that particular flight from Denver to Chicago is just a great route. But sometimes their internet can be a little hit and miss. And so I was like, this has to get off before I get on this plane because I doubt this internet's gonna work on this plane. And so posted the video right before, got off the flight, and I just happened to open it and I saw all these alerts. I was like, what is
Mm.
this? I landed to it was something like 30,000 likes. I was like, in an hour and
Wow.
15 minutes? I was like, what did I say? I was like, what is that? Like, who pushed that? Like, something's going on. So I'm checking it throughout the day. That video, I mean, on all the different platforms, it's done millions of views now. But I was like, what in the world? Like, what happened? And so then I was back to being a student. I was like, it's working. And
Right.
so I just kept working it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we're pressed on time. One last question before we go.
Sure.
You have a book out, The Sins of the Father. Can you give us a
Yeah.
little brief on that and where people can purchase that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, so since the fathers, really the opening story is actually about my stepfather, the one I mentioned earlier. He
Oh, wow.
and his story, and it's just basically about breaking generational curses. A curse is just an empowerment to fail. It's a dysfunctional pattern of behavior that's passed down and around. So you can get it from the environment you're in. You can pick those types of things up from bloodlines, from family, people you've never met. Like my stepfather, he never met his biological father, yet he was exactly like him, womanizer, abuser, the whole nine. And so that book is one of the things that I really believe in and principally because I think most of the things that people are battling as an adult are things that they were introduced to as a child. And so
Mm.
you spend your whole adulthood fighting these things that happened for us, not really to us as a child. And then for most people, by the time they finally get past that stuff, it's life is the clock is an interesting dynamic. I'll say it like that. And so it's a principle that I believe in: breaking generational curses, breaking those patterns, breaking those cycles, and being the interruption to the dysfunction. That book is on, people can get it on Amazon. They can get it on bishopforeman.com, Foreman.com. All of our resources are there. Our apps there, which people can get totally free. All kinds of resources. Again, I go live daily. We got as you mentioned, the daily videos that we do. There's tons of resources, plus Sunday church, Wednesday, but there's a ton of stuff. But it's not just, and I want to emphasize this, it's not just spiritual, it's whole life. Because for me, one of the things that was super important, I remember growing up in church, I was like, okay, we're addressing this area, but what about all these other areas of life? And so I like to approach what I do 360. Like we're going to talk faith, but we're also going to talk finances, and we're going to talk family, and we're going to talk future, and we're going to talk fitness, and we're going to talk about all these different areas of life and in a way that equips people with the tools that they need. So Sins of the Fathers is one book, which is powerful. Evolutionaries is another book I did, like discovering the new you in you, like going through the life of a butterfly. Starts as small as a sesame seed on a sesame seed bun. By stage 4, that thing is flying. Like where you started has nothing to do with where you will end up. Those two won't always look the same. That book's out. My newest one, which is actually called History Makers, it'll be out over the next 30 days. I'm super excited about that one because we're changing the name of the church actually. So this is, you got the scoop.
Oh,
History
there you
Makers is
go.
what, yeah, you got the scoop. Called History Makers. as we begin to do that. And so that book's coming out. We'll release a music project with that too. I'm the type, I'll just make up a song on the spot while I'm on the stage. And I'll just start going, and we'll go and we'll listen back to the playback and be like, that was fire. Like that was good. Like, so we'll have a music project to go with that. And I did another book about finances, making money moves, already getting your finances in order. I'm super passionate about that because when I mentioned that business that collapsed, you go from making more money in 1 month than many people will make in a decade. So in a
Yeah.
lifetime, I was like, like, what are we gonna do? Like, God, like, come on, like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so I was like, God, these were my words. I said, if you show me how to get out of this, I will teach anybody how to do it. And he did. And I wrote the book, and I literally, one of the principles, I gave my way out. That's why I'm so passionate about it. I gave my way out of debt. I gave my way out of that battle. It's the craziest thing to, to sow an offering in my case. And I put it on an American Express card. And this is before they had all these new Amexes where you can pay over time. This was, you better have their money in 28 days or it's about to be a real violent relationship. And they are unforgiving. And I was like, okay, so give my way out. I was like, I gave my way out of debt, gave my way out of that place, and learned so many principles. And so all the books, I think, and I write for men because women love to read, generally speaking. Is that your experience as a journalist? Is that been some of your experience?
Well, for me, I like to read. My wife doesn't like to read.
Okay, so
So
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And most of the women I know don't like to read.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. It's,
Okay.
in New Jersey, New Jersey's weird. So
Is that what it is? Okay, okay, I got
but
you. I got you. Well,
yeah,
I'll say it this way: most of the women I know, it's the opposite. Most of the women I know, they
yeah,
love to read. Like I get my mother; she's a reader. She will get a book and she'll read. Oh, I was reading this book, reading the book. Me, I'm an audio book. For like, put that on audio. Like, you
yeah.
want me
Me
to
too.
read the pages? Oh God, no! Like, just put it on audio. But I write short to the point so that people can get the principle, understand it, and then like go do it. So all of that, bishopforeman.com and all the socials, same thing, Bishop Foreman. They call me the people's bishop because again, I think you've made reference to that. I love connecting with people and love making this thing reachable for people. Like I don't like making it so deep that people can't do it. People muddy the water so you think it's deep. I like to
I
clean
hear
it up.
that. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me. It's an honor and privilege having you here. Please go support him, go follow him, go check him out. I highly recommend him. Go check out his book. And before we go, if you can honor us with a small prayer to end the show,
Absolutely.
we highly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Let me just say this before I go. Thank you for having me and thank you for what you do. I was looking at some of the show titles and some of the things you've done and listening a bit and what you're doing is so needed and I think it's
Thank you.
such a great voice. And so thank you for what you do and because it is impacting and I can't wait to dive more into it and hear more. And so I just want to say thank you for having me. Thank you for what you do. Let's pray. God, we just pray for everybody that's listening, watching, however they're connecting. It's not a coincidence. Those don't exist. This was divine providence. This was something that you set into motion. And I pray that you would do more in the last 4 months of this year than you've done in the first 8. I pray, God, that where there's been anxiety, where there's been heaviness, where there's been confusion, where there's been a lack of clarity, where there's been a lack of courage, God, I pray that whatever is needed, you provide that. And I pray that this would literally end up being a history making year for every person, that they do what they've never done, become who they've never become, possess what they've never possessed. And we pray it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank
Yes,
you once
sir.
again. It's an honor and privilege having you here. Like I said, make sure to go follow him, go find him, Bishop Foreman, and all social medias. Make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, DIOTALK TV. If you like what we're doing, buy us a coffee. Link below in the description. Have a good night, guys. I'm out.